To your home, yeah! To your home, yeah! I lose out control when I take it to the hole. To your home, yeah! To your home, yeah! I lose out control when I take it to the hole. To your home, yeah! To your home, yeah! I lose out control when I take it to the hole. To your home, yeah! To your home, yeah! I lose out control when I take it to the hole.
Good evening. It is Monday, July 12th. We are kicking off the Legit Fantasy Basketball Show, Finals Edition. We're going to talk about Game 3, preview Game 4. But first of all, I got to thank King for that intro. I believe we actually own the rights to that music, if I'm not mistaken. And one other thing we got to start with first, although I can probably speak for all of us, I've never been to Italy. I've watched about 3 full soccer games in my life. But somehow it felt really, really, really good yesterday to watch Italy beat England. I don't know why. Some just goes all the way back. My mother was cheering. My daughters, everybody was into it. And I'm kind of like, this is probably the third soccer game or football match I've ever watched in my life. Anyway, with that said, we are going to go to someone that has played a little football. Actually was on the inaugural North Providence High School soccer team. King Michael, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, genius?
Very good.
Let me tell you something. Here's why it felt so good. Because we, the Italian team, we were actually playing a team whiter than us. Like, the white blame actually shifted to England for a second. We got to be Italians. The guys who came over from like 1910 to 1920, way after slavery. All those guys. That's who we are, and that's who we rooted for against the English. Oh, and they're bad, Kev. They're bad, the English.
Yep.
That felt good.
It did. It felt amazing. Now, before I bring on the other guys, I do want to say something else here. We did our preview show yesterday, and I think we did a pretty good job because we watched the game. We're going to hit on some of the stuff that we talked about, but I was pretty proud of us in terms of the prep that we did, and also the bets that we suggested hit once again. But we will hit the 2 guys that weren't able to join the show yesterday. Brother Ray was under the weather. Brother Ray, it's great to see you. How you feeling today?
Better, getting there. Bronchitis. The kids are like black rats. They just spread disease and vermin.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you watch Italy England?
Yeah, I was very excited. You know what? To beat them in Wembley.
Yep.
And to have the royal box full, and just to see those sad faces.
Yep.
What was really crazy was the beatdowns after that game.
Oh, I know.
I saw any of that footage, but yeah, a bunch of English roughnecks were waiting for Italian fans to come out. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah,
Shocker.
Soccer hooligans, as they're called. And we have our resident hooligan joining us, Coach TJ. How's it going? How was your Sunday?
It was decent. It's funny because it took me back to this place in like my family history where like the white people were beating us up again. Yeah. It was like no shit. Because it's only been recently since where they're like, the Italians are white now. Oh, okay. And that was a reminder, and it wasn't too long ago. But you know what was crazy? I woke up. I have a hard time staying awake for a whole soccer match, right? I woke up from a nap. I'm not even kidding. In my chair, not 10 seconds later, Italy scored to tie it up. Yep. And I was so freaking happy I saw it because you can watch soccer. The second you get up, you miss everything.
Yep, exactly.
It was cool. It had me looking forward to the World Cup a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Agreed. And I did because you get most at least Ray and Mike have met my mother, and she's kind of a little bit vicious with her sense of humor. So we were actually, this is kind of sad, but I will admit it. We were talking about how at the end of the game when the 5th guy missed the kick to tie it up, and he was there, and he was basically crying, and the coach came out, and he, because he had done the same thing happened to him 25 years ago, and my reaction to her, which she loved, was like, maybe the problem is you have a loser coaching another loser. Maybe that's where the problem is. And she was just like, whoa. But anyway, I don't really mean that. I do apologize. That guy's going to feel awful. Like, we're still talking about the fact that the coach missed his 25 years ago. I don't wish that on anybody except the English. That said, let's jump into basketball. So did you guys watch Game 3 last night? pretty, I thought it was a great game. I thought like Phoenix hung around for a while. The final 120-100. I don't think it's probably a little bit closer than that. So because Phoenix did rally back in the third quarter. But there's a lot of different angles to the game. Obviously, Giannis becomes, I think, like the 18th or 19th player to go 40 points back-to-back games. Only second player to do 40 and 10. The other one was Shaq in back-to-back games. But that's amazing, and that's a story. And the other thing there is against Phoenix, when they played twice in the regular season, he scored at 40 points, I think at 41. So he's got a track record of tearing these guys apart. So when we're going to talk about Game 4, what do they do to stop him? But I thought a huge part of this was Deandre Ayton getting into foul trouble. He tore it up in the first quarter, and King and I talked about how important he was. Then he gets into foul trouble, and Monty Williams pulls him. He only plays 24 minutes. And they basically fell apart. So those are the big things that I noticed. But Brother Rice, since you haven't been on for a little while, let's start with you. What did you think of the game? Giannis, Ayton, anything else that you saw really jump out?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing was you had Booker and Paul really contained. Neither one scored 20, and that's rare for both of them to be off. So I think you have to look at that and say Middleton and Drew did a pretty good job there. I thought Milwaukee's ball distribution was really good. I know it's something they talked about before the game. I thought they were excellent in that category. Portis playing 18 minutes, scoring 11 points, 8 rebounds. We talked about that after Game 1. He only played 3 less minutes than Lopez, and they were rewarded for it. Ayton really hurt them once he got into foul trouble. And then I do want to say Phoenix coach did a great job of sitting Booker in that fourth, to give him some rest because they're going to need him the rest of the way. And we talked about this, guys. We knew that Game 3 was going to be the game that Milwaukee was definitely going to take. We talked about Phoenix winning the first 2, and that Milwaukee would definitely win that third. So, kudos to them. They came out and they executed.
Yep. So, and it's interesting. Your point on Booker, because there's been a lot of stuff all over the place today. Was he hurt? And they're not telling you. Was it just the coach pulled him because of what you said? Was it something else? His head wasn't right. So that's interesting that you made that point because most of it was kind of going as that was a bad decision because the rest of the starters were in. So maybe we talk about that a little bit more. But before we get to that, Coach, what did you think of the game, and what did you want to bring up specifically?
Well, I thought Ayton was going to go for like 30 and 15 after watching the first quarter. And then one of the shots he made was almost like an elbow jumper. It wasn't quite an elbow jumper, but it was like he had to shoot it. And I'm like, if he's going to start making face-up shots, what the heck is going on here? And we had said it on Monday. If he's the only way to stop this guy if in Milwaukee is to put him in foul trouble. And that's exactly what happened, right? So he continues to be a key of the series because that's their biggest mismatch. Booker, I don't know. I say you got to let him play. I don't see a reason where you're not taking Kobe out of that game. Like you're not taking any other star player, letting him play 29 minutes. If you look at the bench time, why is Frank Kaminsky playing 14 minutes in a finals game? What? I don't understand it. It's almost like the throw in the towel mentality, but this is the NBA finals. And I didn't understand that part of it where there was way too much bench going on. And on the other side of the ball, they're not going to be able to stop Giannis is the answer. There is no stopping Giannis if he wants to play that kind of basketball where he goes to the line 17 times and he doesn't take, 7 threes. I think there was no more of a gift wrap bet than Milwaukee in that game, in Game 3 at home. That line should have been like 10, and it wasn't. So, that's where I'm left after Sunday's game.
All right, cool. All right, so King, you've heard Brother Ray, you've heard Coach, you heard a couple of my thoughts. What did you see last night?
I saw everything, Kev. I saw absolutely everything.
Like on a platter. That was like on a platter.
Let me just explain it to you, right? So, all right, here's a good side from Milwaukee. You trailed Atlanta 2-0, right? Atlanta is similar to me to Phoenix in the way that they play. Giannis is completely unstoppable for the rest of the series. You can't stop him. It's try to contain him a little bit, but you gotta have Booker score. Booker and Chris Paul would have had a down game, both of them. What's the odds that's going to happen again this next game? Not very likely. I think they're both going to be really good. Just like taking Giannis and having his free throws improve or having less 1 for 5 when we were saying that he was trying to push himself last game just to score. He stayed more in his comfort zone. He did everything. He was a beast. But I'm going to say this. Drew Holiday, lockdown defense, 20 points. Where were you? They needed that this whole series, right? So I look at what can be adjusted. I think if Deandre Ayton plays better defense, 1, and 2, if Booker and Chris Paul have their regular games, I think Phoenix wins.
All right.
That's where I'm at.
All right. So, yeah. So I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. But I'm going to throw out, here's my overreaction. Phoenix is in serious trouble. They won game 2 by like 10 points. They shot 20 of 40 from 3. That's ridiculous. The odds they do that again are pretty high. If they miss even 2 of those, Giannis missed 7 free throws, it's a whole different game. And Giannis hit maybe 2 of those 7. Now it's a whole different game. I think, and then they lost Saric and they lost Torrey Craig. Not amazing players, but now they're down to like 7 guys that can play. So I think Phoenix is actually in very, very serious trouble. Like I'm actually considering making either a series bet on Milwaukee or Phoenix in 7 because I don't think Ayton's going to have the same foul trouble problems at home. So maybe Milwaukee takes another one home game, and then it bounces back and forth and it gets to game 7. But my overreaction is that Phoenix is in big trouble because they could have easily lost game 2.
That's a great title. That's a great title for it, Kev. Your overreaction, because what you're saying is a complete overreaction. Phoenix is fine, man. Chris Paul will right a ship. That's the dude of all the dudes that can get the guys together and right the ship. He can get in Booker's head and get this team convinced that he can make as many threes, if not more, next coming game. So, yeah, big time overreaction.
That's kind of why I called it that. But I mean, Coach had brought up that point at the beginning of the series, at the beginning of the playoffs. So, kind of, we always try to throw some overreaction in after the first couple of games. But do you guys? What do you think of that sort of angle, that line of reasoning? Is there any merit to it, or is King correct?
I'll jump in. I mean, obviously Giannis, if he's doing his work in the paint, he has a better chance of dominating and reproducing what he did last night than, them hitting 50% from 3. However, though, I mean, you got to look at – we forget that Ayton and Booker are so young. We forget how young they are. Like, this is the NBA Finals. That's why I thought when he sat down Booker, I thought that was a good move because I think he was getting tired. Not physically, but mentally tired. So you sit him down for the 4th, let him stew. Now he's going to come out on fire the next game. So you accept the loss and then you move on because it's about winning the series. It's not about that particular game. However, you can't deny Chris Paul. Like, he will find a way. Like, he may not score 30, but he will find a way.
All right, Coach, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think you make a real good point, Kev. I think Milwaukee got that win. That gives them some confidence. If you had asked anybody during the course of the year who's a better team, Milwaukee or Phoenix, most people would have said Milwaukee. I mean, they do have veterans, whereas we're pointing out how young Ayton and Booker are. We're not talking about how young Milwaukee is. Portis comes in, he's a vet. I mean, these guys are vets. Holiday's been around the block. He played terrific. Portis played great off the bench. Lopez didn't play bad. He didn't play a lot of minutes, but he didn't even play terrible. So I think there's a lot. Milwaukee, it's going to be tough to beat Milwaukee in Milwaukee. And this is going to have to be one of those series where it's almost like the first team to win on the road is going to put them. It might be seal the deal because both of these places are tough to play. I think the crowds have been fantastic in both arenas. And I think Milwaukee at home they've always been tough, no matter whether it's Brooklyn or Philly or whoever's trying to play Milwaukee at home. You don't go in there and punk them around. So yeah, I think there's going to be some concern there, a little bit of dose of reality, because I think even some folks in this show up there had a lot of confidence that Phoenix was going to go ahead and win this thing in like 4.5 games, and I don't think that's going to be the case. I think we're going 6 at least.
King, I think he was pointing at you. I don't think he was pointing at me.
I know. I said Phoenix is going to win in 4-1. Right. And with my next prediction, you'll see why they go to 3-1, and then I'll be right. That's how that works. It takes time, Kev. It takes time.
You kind of nailed the playoffs, so who the hell am I to talk about it?
Yeah. All right. So here's an angle that I wanted to bring up with you guys. And you guys, I like stats. I like the analytics part of things. Ayton gets pulled. I forgot the exact minute. In the third quarter, he picks up his 4th foul. Then Phoenix goes small. Milwaukee looks like they're, flummoxed by it a little bit. They get the lead down to 4. Then I think Milwaukee went on a 16-0 run, and that basically ended the third quarter with like a 22-point lead, something like that. Now, the conventional logic is you get your 4th foul in the third quarter, you sit somebody. Well, they've of course done studies on all this because you want to save them towards the end of the game. But the studies basically show that when you take one of your best players out, you put yourself in a much worse situation at the end of the game. Which logically kind of makes sense. So I guess I want to throw it to you guys. What do you think about the move to pull him and keep him on the bench as long as they did, and then the fact that they went small, but I guess they don't have a lot of options because they really have Frank Kaminsky as their only backup big. But what do you think there, King?
I want to say this because Coach will understand what I'm saying here. I'm not a big fan of teams that will sit a guy in the hopes that they're going to make a run at the end. I would rather run that guy and get a lead. And then if he falls out, then we deal with it at the end. I don't believe in like just knowing or thinking you're going to have that run. Depending on that run is just not, to me, never been smart coaching wise. It's never worked out for me ever.
All right, Coach, what do you think? Then we'll go to Ray.
Yeah, so I think I agree with King Mike. I'm not going to lose the game, and I'd rather lose the game in the third quarter with my best guys on the floor than lose the game in the third quarter with my best guys sitting down, is what it comes down to. Now, it's a little bit different for 2 reasons in that league and in this game. One, you got a young player who may or may not know how to play with foul trouble, right? Because I'll tell you right now, if that's Tim Duncan, he's staying on the floor. He's coming back in the game because we know, well, first of all, Tim Duncan never committed a foul.
I was going to say, that never happened.
It never happened. But if it's a veteran big, perhaps – you're saying go out there and just don't foul. And it's sometimes with a young guy, they still try to block shots when they have foul trouble. There's a lot of different things. I always tell a guy, I'd rather have you on the floor than that block shot. The second thing is in the NBA, it's a little bit different than maybe at other levels where they actually know this guy's name. And by giving him his 5th foul, you know what you're doing. So a lot of times the referees will let a guy get away with a little more because you'll even hear the announcer say, I don't know why he's giving Giannis his 3rd foul on that. Like, it's a foul, but we're not going to pull Giannis out of the game on that, right, ref? Right, ref? So there are factors. But, yeah, I'd rather lose. If I'm going to lose in the third quarter or early in the fourth quarter, I'd rather lose with my A team instead of hoping that we hang on just long enough so he can help me in the last 4 minutes. Yeah, all day.
All right. Ray, what are your thoughts on that? And maybe also the lineup that they did go with, try to small ball Milwaukee a little bit.
Yeah, I think Coach and Mike are right about that. I mean, I think he got caught up in, you know what, Booker and Paul are going to shoot better. They're going to wake up. I don't want my big to get fouled out because, I mean, if you're talking about a guard, you can play with 4 fouls. You're in the paint, and the way Ayton plays, he's making contact in every single time down the floor. So there's a strong chance, and as Coach said, he's young. They're going to target him. He didn't want to get in trouble. He was thinking they would wake up and start shooting, but it didn't happen.
Ken, you want to know what I honestly think? I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Mike.
I almost feel like I know that they don't throw games, but it's almost like Booker had 10 points, kid's head spinning. Maybe you just sit him, get him ready for the next game. That's it. You call it what it is. Like, I mean, sometimes as a team, you got a long ball. You got to think the series. So I'm like maybe they go, well, just sit him. Like, let's not let it get him any more messed up. Like, just keep him on a rhythm. Bad game. Chalk it up, kid. Next one.
That's got to be a function of being young, because, well, I wanted to bring this up when Ray was talking. Half of Phoenix offense is 8 and set and screens 46 feet away from the basket, right? Double screens. It doesn't take much for him to lean one time by accident or get a little hip on a guy, and that's your 5th foul, and that sucks to lose him that way. But if you're a great team, and I don't think either one of these teams are great teams, I don't recall the Lakers doing the Shaq Kobe sit in the fourth quarter to rest bullcrap. Like, I just don't recall the Tony Parker, Tim Duncan are going to sit for the end. They're going to play 28 minutes because we have a scheduled loss in a finals game. So if you go back through championship teams, I don't see a lot of times where guys are just getting the fourth quarter off. Now, this is a new NBA, definitely that. But I don't think Milwaukee would go that kind of stretch with their bench and keep Middleton and Giannis on the bench at any point in time in the game. And I think that might have been a miscalculation there, on Phoenix's end. I really do.
All right. Okay, interesting. Yeah. I really wanted to get your opinions on that. It's very good to kind of get in depth on that one. So the other thing I wanted to bring up, and I think King brought it up a little bit, but I wanted to get Coach and Ray's thoughts on Drew Holiday. He had a good game, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 9 assists, 8 of 14 from the floor, 5 of 10 from 3. Very good game for him, and he also was playing great defense, as Brother Ray said. You guys, is this sustainable? Like he hasn't been able to do this for long stretches in the playoffs. Like, do you guys think a switch flipped and he's going to deliver this for the next 3-4 games, or did Milwaukee just get lucky because it was at home? Well, Brother Ray, any thoughts on Drew?
I think he has it in him. The question his whole career is, can it happen night after night after night? Can he put it together 3-4 nights in a row? You see it. He's up and down. When we get the good Drew, he is as good as it gets at the one. I mean, he could be an all-star if he wanted to be, but it's not consistent. I mean, he can do it all. He can play defense. He can shoot. He can pass. And he's been aggressive. I've seen more aggression from him in the playoffs this year and in the finals than I've seen in the past. In that game, too, when they were getting trounced, he was still on fire. He was still fighting. If we can see that consistently and it's there, yeah.
All right, King Michael, trivia question. Do you know which team Drew Holiday played for besides Milwaukee? Any idea?
There's 2.
I'm gonna go with one. I'm gonna get to pick one, so I'm gonna go with the 76ers, the greatest franchise of all time.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Right.
Which started in Syracuse, and I believe 1946 or 7. You mentioned during the last show.
Yeah, no, listen. Now I agree with everything Brother Ray just said. Drew Holiday can be all those things. He also can be a letdown, a shame, an embarrassment. All right. So he can also be those things too. So if you have any faith in Drew Holiday, then you really just believe in stuff, man. And I wish I had that kind of belief. Like, I wish I was that happy of a person that I could believe in Drew Holiday. Like openly believe that he's going to be good this next game. Because there's this cynical part of me that goes, no, he's not. No, he's not. He's Drew Holiday. It's like a joke that the punchline is the thing. Why? Because he's Drew Holiday. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Coach, your thoughts on Mr. Holiday?
Well, I know he's got it in him. In Atlanta in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals, you know what his stat line was? 27 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, and 4 steals. That's straight up perfect point guard play. That's like some Magic Johnson in his prime stuff. But then he'll show up and go in Game 1 of this series and show up with 10 points. And what's crazy about him is he always plays the whole game. Like, his stamina level is ridiculous. Like, Drew Holiday plays 40 minutes a game. So he always has the ball. He always plays the same amount of minutes. And yet there's no consistency with what you can count on him for. So, yeah, if he can also be one of the best defenders on the perimeter in the series. So, yeah, if you told me for sure we were going to get last night's Drew Holiday or better, I'll tell you Milwaukee's going to win the next 3 games. But you really don't know. He can show up and go for 11 points in 40 minutes and look like shit the entire night. So I don't trust him. I never trusted him, but it's there. You know it's in there. And that's why Phoenix needs to be scared, because if it goes to a Game 7 and that Drew shows up, like Game 7 Drew shows up, you're in big trouble. They're in big trouble, because he has it in him, whereas a guy like Bridges and Jay Crowder, they don't have it in him to do what Drew Holiday can do. His ceiling is so much higher than theirs at a max compete game. So yeah, that's a thing.
All right. So, any final thoughts on Game 3 before we move on to Game 4? Anything you guys want to add that we didn't touch on? Points? Any just things you noticed that we didn't talk about yet?
Nope.
All right. Cool.
I do have one thing that's really, really underrated. Milwaukee did not turn the ball over. Neither team really turned the ball over for the entire basketball game. I bet you Milwaukee had less than 10 turnovers, and I don't even have the box score on the screen. I bet they had less than 10 turnovers. They just come down and ran their stuff, which normally I would credit to coaching, but I think that coach is terrible. So, but really, Milwaukee and Phoenix both, and maybe it's because I watch so many Sixer games, I'm used to 25 turnovers. But between these two teams, I think they're doing a really good job of playing good, clean basketball, getting the ball getting field goal attempts up.
9 turnovers for Milwaukee. 9.
Yeah, see?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, very good point. And so we'll kind of switch to game 4 now. And something that King and I talked about yesterday. It's like if Milwaukee just stays focused and like plays their game, like it manifests itself in good shots, few turnovers, like the whole thing. It's like you almost what I keep saying is like they almost have to black out the scoreboard, so they don't know if they're up 6 or down 8, and just keep playing the game. Because when they get like rattled, it all falls apart, and they don't have anyone that should be taking a shot. 6 seconds into the shot clock, a fadeaway 3. Like they're not Brooklyn, they're not Golden State. They can't do that, and they seem to. But so one of the other themes that we talked about yesterday was whenever we talk about the series, it's always been what does Milwaukee have to do differently? Like what do they have to change in order to win? In order to win the series, versus Phoenix just has to play basketball like the Phoenix Suns do. Now, I think that was a really good point. We talked about it, for a little while, but I'm almost at the point now where I'm like I said, I had my overreaction. I'm thinking maybe it's time to flip it. Like, what can Phoenix change? I think if the games go like the second game in this one, and Milwaukee kind of just bullies them and they can get into foul trouble, they're gonna have I think they're gonna have a hard time winning the series. So I guess I'll throw it to you guys. Sort of that's just my sort of general thoughts. That does Phoenix need to change? And if so, what do they need to change? And can they change? Because Milwaukee has shown they can. So I guess it's kind of a long-winded, kind of big question. But Brother Ray, you want to start? And maybe I'm wrong. Just tell me I'm wrong too. Like Phoenix is going to, Phoenix doesn't change anything.
I mean, I really think, Phoenix, they just need to do with what they've been doing, and they didn't hit shots. Let's face it, they did not hit shots. And give Milwaukee credit for adjusting. I thought their ball distribution really helped them space the floor, and that's what created the openings for Giannis to get inside the lane and do his work. In the past couple of games, Giannis would bring the ball up the floor, and he would try and drive, and 3 people would collapse. They did a great job of ball distribution. It was almost like Hoosiers, as Coach said, pass that ball 3 times before you shoot it. They created space. So when you create space, that helps Middleton, that helps Giannis, that helps you shooters. So I think Phoenix, Booker and Paul not producing like that, I think that's rare. I think they're going to come back. They're going to hit those shots. The shots that they were missing are shots that they would normally make. So Phoenix is just going to do what they've been doing. But I think Milwaukee made a great adjustment. They need to do the same thing.
All right. So King, since it was your theory, what do you think has to happen in game 4 and onward in the series?
So I know I'm like a classic Italian that I repeat myself, but so styles do make fights, right? So let's look at these 2 teams as if they were boxers. My analogy: the Bucks are like a Joe Frazier. They want to get on the inside, and they just want to keep banging at you the whole time for the fight, right? The Suns got that Ali type outside offense, that flash, that pop, 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 that stuff. Now, when those guys fought, it was total mixed bag as results, right? Depending on what night it was. Joe won the first one, then Ali took it from there. But it's literally one of those things where it's a mismatch. And I feel like in this mismatch, the Suns have it. If they make their shots, they win. That's just where it is. I don't think they have – Brother Ray hit it on the head. I don't think those 2 have a game like they did game 3 and game 4. I think they go up. And again, Milwaukee still – Middleton, people like that have not shown me anything. The Suns, it's going to be 3-1. That's just the style of the fight. Does that make sense?
No, I like the analogy. Definitely like the analogy. Coach, what do you think on game 4 and the rest of the series? Who needs to make what adjustments? And does Milwaukee have a chance? Because it sounds like Brother Ray and King both are still leading Phoenix.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Chris Paul can play that exact same game and do it like 5 more times, because what you got is pretty much a Chris Paul game. He scored 19 points. He took 14 shots. That really is Chris Paul, like an average Chris Paul game is that. Now, he didn't have any rebounds. I didn't think he was as aggressive all over the court. I felt like he was almost not playing at full speed. But that is very possible that that's what you're going to get from him at least 2 more times in the series. Booker's a different story. There's no way Phoenix wins if Booker's going to play like that. He's supposed to be the guy, right? He's got to play better than that. Ayton's got to stay on the floor. But for more to the point of the question, I don't really think Phoenix can make any adjustments because that's just how they play. Like, they're such a point guard, Chris Paul-centric team that it's not like they're going to turn into something else in a game span. The adjustment you make on Giannis, I mean, it's to, I guess, force him to be a jump shooter, but you don't think they're trying that? Of course they are. But when the freaking guy can go from the three-point line to the rim on one dribble, it really doesn't matter what's your strategy. Like, there's no strategy for that. So I think Phoenix is going to play their game, and they're going to have to make shots. And I think Milwaukee has more of a chance to make adjustments because they can take Lopez out and go small, or Giannis can turn into a three-point shooter. Like, there are some variations to what Milwaukee can do depending on the night. But Phoenix is what Phoenix is. And either ball is going to go in or it's not. Now, as Booker played bad, Jay Crowder made like 5 threes. Like, Jay Crowder sucks at basketball. He made like 5 threes. So you also can't bank on that going forward either. But, if Ayton's on the floor, I think we got a different game, and Booker will play a lot better. I think Game 4 will be close, but I wouldn't count Milwaukee out of it, especially in Milwaukee. No way. No how.
And if I were Milwaukee, I would have Giannis drive at Ayton every single play of the game until he gets him into foul trouble. I mean, because you said like they know these guys by name and everything, and Giannis is a superstar. He's gonna get more of the calls than Ayton will. So if I were that's what I would do, like just every single time until you get in foul trouble.
Does Phoenix not have like a Greg Kite they can call on? They don't have him. They can't look down the bench, see Greg Kite, and go, get out there and bother this guy with your mustache. Get on him.
They had Dario.
That was the guy.
Dario out here looking like Greg Kite.
Yeah, he's out though. He's out for the series. I don't know. Can Frank Kaminsky do that?
Kaminsky. Imagine somebody watched Kaminsky play in college and decided, you know what, this is a lottery pick. And it was Michael Jordan that did it. Like, somebody saw Frank Kaminsky and was like, you know what, I'm hitching my wagon to that guy.
What about the guy that Vancouver took that they called Big Country, and that from that point on, anybody that was big and slow, we all called Big Country.
Yeah, but at least he was 7'3" or something. But Kaminsky's not even big.
Big Country was slow as all shit. Like, that was an overrated basketball player if I ever heard of one. Big Country.
He was like you think he still had baby fat, right?
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like chiseled. He was just kind of lumber around. Yeah, he's like Jokic, except couldn't play. As coach said, couldn't play basketball. That's also because
the Paul Pierce gym. The Paul Pierce gym of just like kind of athletic looking.
That's awful. All right, so the spread for Wednesday night, it's Phoenix plus 4.5. It's Milwaukee. The over under is 220.5. King, you've picked the first 3 games correctly. I have also, but what's your call for Wednesday and why?
What was the spread again? Just really quick.
4.5. Phoenix plus 4.5.
The Bucks are minus 4.5.
Yeah. Yep.
And what's the over under?
220.5.
Over, and the Suns.
Okay.
I think I've given my reasons. It's done.
No,
It's a done deal here. That was Milwaukee's game. Here we go. Finish it off.
All right, Brother Ray. And one thing I did want to mention that I didn't before, like we mentioned the game, like was any of Game 3 just like the fact that the road team kind of knows they're going to lose that one, and Phoenix
shut it down.
Yeah,
Chris Paul was jogging. They were shutting it down.
Yep. Okay. So I kind of thought a little bit of that, but anyway, I'm still on the overreaction train. Brother Ray, Phoenix plus 4.5, over under 220.5.
Yeah, I mean, looking at that, and I think we've all made our points, and I think they're all valid points. I have to go with Phoenix here with getting the points. I really think that like King said, I think they knew they were going to lose that game. They packed it in. They gave him some rest. They sat him down. Ayton got some rest. I think they come out energized. I think they hit their shots. And, Milwaukee is a tough place to play. So they're getting the points. I'll go with them on this. And I'm going to go with the under.
All right. So you're going Phoenix and under. So we got Phoenix over, Phoenix under. Coach, Phoenix plus 4.5, 220.5.
So the final number for Game 3 is 220, and they put the over under at 220. Thanks.
Yeah, 220.
Awesome. I think Milwaukee's going to win the game, but I'm not laying 4.5 points. I feel like there's a close game to happen in this series. Like, we haven't really had a close game in this series. We got to have a close game in the NBA Finals. If it's a close game, then give me those points, right? So I'll take Phoenix, and I like the under in it. I like Phoenix in the under.
So, Kev, if that spread does move, though, we got to talk. Like, if it goes to 5-6, that's totally different, right? If it drops 3-2.
Exactly. If it went under 4, I would bet everything on Milwaukee, but I'll probably still do. I'm going to go Milwaukee minus 4.5, and I'm probably going to go over. The first 2 games, I think, were both 118, 103. That was 221. The second game was 228. This game was 220. And I think if they both go at it, I'm going to go Milwaukee into over.
You're going to lose that game. You know that, though, right?
No.
Yeah. If you put the money on I don't know if you listen to the 3 of us. If you put money on Milwaukee, you're going to lose that game. That's what we just told you in a row.
Yeah. I'm convinced. Like, and
you call yourself genius.
Hey, that's because I can read and react. You've been saying Phoenix the whole series. You got to change your thinking. You got to evolve as events. As events.
Called Milwaukee last
game.
What,
this is a real big game for Phoenix. This is a real big game for Phoenix. Now, if you want to give me that game 3 as a scheduled loss, I was on the phone with somebody calling it an Adam Silver loss. Like, that's just not going to let it be a sweep, right? Yeah. We need eyeballs. Like, I said Giannis was going to go to the line 25 times, and it was like 17. But game 4 for Phoenix, you don't want this to turn into a 3-game series.
I agree.
Because the best player in the series is Giannis, and if you got to get as big of a cushion as you can. Like, they have to show up. They can't. None of this freaking resting nonsense. None of this foul trouble nonsense. They have to show up and steal one on the road. And because of that, I feel like it's going to be a close game, and that's why I keep an eye on that number, because I don't feel like Milwaukee is going to win this game going away like they did game 3.
Kev, you remember the beginning of the series, though? I said if it goes to a game 7, I think Milwaukee would win that game. I'd be scared of them because they have the one guy that it's true. In one game, and then, Coach, you made a comment about how it's one game now, but in that one game 7, to me, I would go with Milwaukee ahead of time, because I think that he's so unstoppable. He's just, you're right. He can get Ayton out in a heartbeat if he really wants to. That is the truth. If he really wants to go down low, wants to do all the movement, he did everything in the last game. He moved around. He just seemed like he wanted to win, as opposed to he wasn't gripping.
His intensity was much, much higher. They showed him on the sidelines, like yelling at people, like the whole thing. Like he stepped it up. And again, I'm going to say it. He had 41 or 42, 41 this game, 42 the game before. The 2 regular season games, he had 40 or 41. The only game he's played against Phoenix, 5 games this season, they didn't have 40 points, was game 1 when he was coming back from the injury. So I mentioned game 2 with them shooting 20 of 40 from 3. They're not going to do that again. It's very, very unlikely that you make 23 pointers and shoot 50%. If they had missed 2 of those, or 3 of those, it's a 1-point game or a 4-point game, which is a totally different thing in the end. So I think Milwaukee could have won game 2. I think that healthy Giannis, game 1 would have been a little closer. So I flipped the script. I'm going Milwaukee game 4, and I'm probably going to go Milwaukee for the series.
All right, but Milwaukee is still susceptible to 10-point runs, and when that happens to them, they get all shaky. Right, the Suns seem like if they go down by 10, they still know they're within striking distance. Right, that's how a shooter must think. Milwaukee kind of falls apart a little bit. I don't want to say they fall apart, but they're not like a come from behind horse. Like, you don't want them to come from behind. You want them to be out front the whole time, or it doesn't work out. And I think the Suns can do either or.
You know why? Because when Milwaukee falls behind, Giannis starts taking threes.
Yep.
He really does. He does that stuff, and that's why they are much better when they're ahead. Yeah. Here's what's crazy about him, though. For a guy who's getting 40 and 10, there is no circumstance where I see him ever going to get in foul trouble. Like, you can't attack him and get him out of the game. He somehow with 2 dribbles he can go side to side. You never see him pick up a charge. Like, when does Giannis get 4 fouls? Like, ever? Does he ever? I feel like I don't see it. So you're always going to get Milwaukee with a full deck. Like, always. They're not going to the bench, like, except for Portis to get Lopez's slow ass out of there. But it's a valid point. I'd be worried if I'm Phoenix. They're going to show up. They're going to win this series. Chris Paul going to show up in game 4.
Other than a praying mantis, what would you compare Giannis to? Like that stride, it's like 2 steps from the foul line. and his arms are so long he's already dunking it. It's just like this. He's ridiculously like I've never seen any. He's like a transformer in a sense. Like
And
when he drives, it looks weird. It's like click, 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 dunk. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I didn't even see the ball come up.
Yeah. I'm usually there has to have been more steps. I'm like he has to have traveled. Like I still don't get it. I still can't process him yet. It's like how do you get from the foul line to a dunk with one step? Like you said, I didn't see the ball come up. I didn't see him launch. Somehow it's just slam, and he's smiling, going the other way. Like I can't follow.
Like that, guys. Too. He shot 60% from the field.
Yeah.
I mean, 41 points, 60% from the field. I mean, that's something you want to put your money on. Seriously.
Every now and then, Durant will make one of those dunks in transition, one dribble or one step, but Giannis does it in the half court with contact. Like he'll dunk on guys. It's unbelievable. It really is when he's playing like that. But he's prone to becoming a jump shooter. He's prone to having one of those games, and if he does, then that's bad.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it. And we've done so many of these shows where if I could put a set of like a highlights clip of me being frustrated on my mind because I bet Milwaukee and they just did a bunch of stupid stuff in the third quarter, and then I fall in love with them again, and then they break my heart, and then somehow they win and they're on to the next one, and I fall in love again. It's awful. But Ray, I just checked for the series. Giannis is shooting 63%. Like for the series, it's nuts. If you take out his 3-point attempts, he's probably closer to 70%.
Like video game shit.
Yeah.
Hey, let me point something out. In that video package I put in the beginning, Kev, the very last image was an image that was already pre-made of the Nets versus the Lakers in the 2021 NBA Finals. I don't know if you guys noticed that photo, but I found it, and it's got Kyrie and Durant, and it's got LeBron and AD, and it's like 20. They must have had shirts already printed. Like, you know what I mean? They're shipping those shirts out to like another country so they can all wear them. Speaking of T-shirts, we have legit paranormal T-shirts to give out, Kev. We got to start giving these shirts out. We got to figure out a way, an idea, a concept. What do you think?
You're obviously the idea man because that segue was unbelievable. I would have never ever picked that. I was like, where's he going? Yeah, maybe organize a raffle, but then you'd win them all. Would
I win them all.
All right, brother. Right. So we've kind of talked a little bit about the final thoughts. Any final comments you want to make on the finals? And I had two other things I wanted to bring up.
No, I mean, I think, we talked about it. It'll be interesting. I mean, I think we'd all love to see it go to a Game 7. Obviously, just happy that these two teams are in it. It's not, the Lakers, Nets, or, some other superpower. So we'll see. But now I think Phoenix is going to be rested and ready. And I think Coach did a great job sitting people down.
Cool. All right. Anything else you guys want to add, or can we, or are we ready to move on to some more pressing topics? So yesterday in FIBA Class 9-10, Turkey beat Australia. Now the reason why this is important is because we had a viewer watching the preview who wanted a pick, and I got to say, it was 24-24 at the half. So we had to do some research to find out if this was like women's basketball or a boys team or 7-minute quarters and what the rules were. So we did all our research. And then King picked Australia. So his record is not unblemished when it comes to international basketball. So if you're going to listen to him, I would say stick with the NBA choices because Turkey went on a run. They got a 9-point lead, which when you're only scoring 24 points and a half, pretty much impossible to overcome.
But don't leave out the part where I made fun of the guy for watching that game in the first place and how I would never even bet on it or really ever consider it a game. And that I only threw out Australia because I can't picture people from Turkey playing basketball. I don't know. I'm just a little weird in the head.
Yeah, and we did find out there's an organization called FIBA,
which
apparently
know that either.
FIFA, but for basketball. So it was
nice team and everything.
Yeah.
You guys didn't know that?
Leagues in the world,
Didn't know it's called FIBA.
Yeah. So we learned something new.
FIBA.
Yeah. So now there's something else I can bet on. I'm gonna start betting the Class 9-10 FIBA.
Jimmy Barron played in the Turkish Pro League.
There's nothing worse to watch than inferior basketball. Like watching a game where it's 24-24 at the half would be like, because he was reading off the stats. This guy's like 1 for 19. This guy's like 2 for. It's like after a while, you're like, shoot a jump shot, Please,
Yeah.
like, get a layup, school it,
And
smack the backboard, do something.
yeah,
It
we
must
brought
be
up
so
shot
boring.
charts. I'm looking at it, and I'm like, they're playing analytics basketball. It was so many missed 3-pointers. It was like X's all over the place, and a couple right around the rim, and that was it. It was just like I can only imagine what that game was like to watch. But anyway, so yeah, FIBA, I would check it out if you guys are really bored or dead. Next thing, Team USA loses exhibition match to Nigeria. Hearing tons of stuff about this. I don't care. Do you guys care? Is anyone following Team USA right now? Any thoughts on the gut-wrenching loss to Nigeria in an exhibition match?
Yeah, it kind of bothers me. It does. It really does kind of bother me because it's freaking Nigeria. Like, I can almost buy it if they lose to France, where you got Gobert and you got like NBA guys. I can buy it if they lose to Spain because we know there's some talent. Like, there's a lot of these international teams that have NBA guys. I mean, we turned it in. It's our own fault. We made it a global sport, right? So we did that. And it started with the Dream Team. But even at this point, if our guys, our Olympians can't go out there and beat Nigeria, I mean, those are people where there's not even a hoop in every village in Nigeria. This is not like – these are not first world facilities that these guys practice in. Like, we are the United States. We're supposed to smack Nigeria. I'm sorry. And I think it's kind of shameful. I really do. And those are NBA guys. It's not like we sent a high school prep team. I mean, those are NBA guys that went in there and lost to Nigeria. It kind of irks me. It does.
But let's do a 4-person vote right now, right? Did you care more about Italy winning the game, and did you feel more connected to people from Italy, or did you feel more connected to these, rich basketball players, spoiled basketball players from the U.S. that lost to Nigeria? Me personally, I stuck with the soccer, Kev, the football, as you would say. Like, I was more interested in that. I don't know why there's no connection with me and the U.S. basketball team. Maybe it's because I didn't know that they called it FIBA. That could be it too. Lack of knowledge, ignorance.
So Brother Ray.
Plus 10,000 in that game, I think. I saw them.
Plus 10,000?
They were like plus 10,000. If you put a $2 bet, I mean, just ridiculous. Like, it's just off the charts, like, ridiculous.
I picture them having one tall guy and a bunch of smaller guys in Nigeria. They have that one really tall guy, right? Right?
Precious played well for Nigeria. He had a couple of blocks. He schooled Tatum, or he had a couple of really good blocks.
He had 3 freaking points.
He was good defensively. He a couple of blocks.
What was the final? What was the score, Coach?
90-87. 90
You know what I do? You know what we should get more props for, though? I'll say this. The American team has diversity. Like, our American teams always have diversity because, look, you look at the Chinese team, here's a shocker. Guess what they all look like? They're all Chinese. They're just all Chinese. On the American team, we've got everybody. We're diverse. We don't send like a bunch of Swedes. You know what I mean? We don't just send a bunch of blondes to go play basketball. Yeah. No, we send the U.S. team guys. We're diverse. We are. More so than everybody else.
Yeah, I always do think it's interesting where someone like Precious will go play for the Nigerian team. You got I forgot what team Luka's going to play for. I guess Croatia, where the hell he's from.
That's where they're from, though. That's definitely where they're from. You know what's crazy? Jaleel Okafor's on the Nigerian team. He didn't even get in the game. Why the hell is he on the Nigerian team anyway? Boy went to Duke. Yeah, hey, you know what? These people, you know what's crazy? These guys come here, they make millions of dollars in the NBA, but when it comes to this international stuff, they go back to their own country, and that's who they represent, and they actually care about this stuff. Whereas us spoiled little bitch athletes, they're spoiled from the age of 12 years old. They don't even want to play for Team USA. You got to like pull teeth to get them there, and then when they get there, they don't want to play the minutes. Kevin Garnett's out there just hanging out. Like, these guys are just hanging out, and it's pretty embarrassing. It is.
Yeah,
I don't know if they burned a flag, but, Team USA, with this scumbag group on the roster, they'll stop burning flags before games sooner or later. Draymond, he looks like a flag burner. Josh Jenkins, he's a flag burner. Dame Lillard, probably. Portland's burning. Yeah, so at some point though, we got to get our shit together with Team USA. And Coach K had him there, and now he's gone.
Yeah. Well, Pop's probably pouring the gasoline on the flag.
Pops, he's no fan of ours. He's the one guy that put 10 grand on Nigeria.
Yeah.
It seems like the more he grows his beard, the more evil he gets. It seems like they connected those two.
Man.
Oh my God! All right, well we got another game, another exhibition upcoming against Australia. So maybe that tune-up, them losing to Turkey in the tune-up, obviously is not even close to the same team. Probably doesn't bode that well. So maybe Team USA can can handle those guys. Okay, so last thing I want to hit, just any thoughts on the Orlando Magic head coaching hire? To be honest, I don't know a lot about Jamal Mosley. I'm kind of hearing some good things, but I'll defer to you guys. Whichever one of you wants to start on Mosley and what you think of the hire.
Hold on, I got to give you guys this. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, is anybody aware of the hire?
No, I am aware of it. I just don't want to speak on it because
I was just checking the Australia score. We're actually leading the game.
Oh, it's already happening? Oh.
Yeah. Australia's got Aaron Baines, Joe Ingles, Patty Mills, Della Vedova, Dante Exum, Matisse Thybulle. I mean, they got some pros. So I'm not even mad if the United States loses to Australia in this basketball game right here. I'm not even that mad because it's NBA guys against NBA guys. We should win, but we didn't. Okay. Nigeria has Nigerian nothing guy. These aren't even scholarship players. That's what pisses me off. But anyway, the Orlando Magic hire. Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. If USA loses to Australia and they go on a 2-game losing streak, it'll be the most fun thing you could possibly see in terms of stories and news commentators and Stephen A. Smiths and everything. It'll be unbelievable. I might do a special show if the U.S. loses to Australia. We're going to do a late night show to dissect the loss and what it means to basketball on an international level.
You know what? Can I just say this? Stephen A. Smith with Max Kellerman. It started off something that I liked, and now I feel like that Stephen A. Smith just yells so much that poor Max Kellerman's like shaking like a dog that's being taken to the vet in the corner. Well, he doesn't know what to say next, how to respond. Max Kellerman's like under the gun every time he starts to talk. So the minute he talks, it zooms in on his face. And he's like, what the frick? Why is it so close?
Stephen A. Smith is the highest paid ESPN employee at $12 million a year, right? Plus he's black. So now Max Kellerman's like, shit, I can't even argue with this guy because he's the face of the franchise and they'll call me a racist and kick me out of here. So they can't even debate back and forth anymore. And in the meantime, Stephen A. Smith is just raking in money, just raking it in. But on this Orlando Magic coach.
Well, hold on a second. Before you go on, I do want to say, I think the three of us, Brother Ray, TJ, myself, can understand a little bit of how Max Kellerman feels.
I wish I was that dumb, that loud and dumb. Why we'd have more viewers. If I was that loud, dumb, and controversial, forget about it. We'd have like 100 people watching right now. But I could never be that kind of a. And by the way, here's a great word. I realize this in my my verbiage. I have lost a lot of words that I used to call people. You know what I mean? I can't call people anymore. However, here's one word I realize that they're never going to take from us, and that's douche. I can say douche because I'm from the Northeast as much as I want. No one will ever protest me. I don't think they would. Do you think they would? Douche, like a douchebag. It just cleans, right? So you can't like protest me for douche, right? I think I'm gonna have douche for the rest of my life. So I'm getting used to it.
I'm just thinking about all the words you lost.
Exactly. I ain't saying them, but I lost them.
My head. They're all going through my head. But I guess enjoy douche for now. Who knows? Maybe that'll become a protected class of douchebags. So you won't be able to use that anymore. But Coach,
wait, one more thing, and then there's a Facebook group called "Grew Up in Rhode Island," and the guy asked, "Where are the best steamers?" Now people made answers, Galilee, till my turn, and I simply wrote Cleveland.
Yeah,
that's it. And I just waited.
Man,
did it light up with responses?
Wow.
Why would you do that? Why would you leave it open like that for me?
Wow.
What's the best place to find steamers?
That's awesome. All right, so Yeah, we're at about the 54-minute mark here. It's usually when the show falls apart. Actually, we're going to be held together a little longer than we normally do. So, Coach, let's rein us in one more time. The Orlando Magic hire. What do you think of him? What do you think of how much of a leash he's going to get since that program is in shambles? Go ahead.
Well, they just switch coaches like every 18 months over there. So I feel bad that this is his first job because you got like a 2-year window and that's it. They do have 2 top 10 picks, which if the guy can evaluate talent and land one out of the 2 picks that turns into be a stud, good for him. I do like that he's part of the Carlisle tree. I like that a lot. I think Carlisle's the most underrated coach in the entire league, like from a clipboard standpoint and his teams are always professional basketball teams. There's never circuses coming out of whether it's Dallas or Indiana. You never hear like all the off the court. They're professional teams. So I think it's a good hire. It's good for the guy. I mean, I don't remember him as a player, but I know he was a good player in college, is what I heard today on the radio, or whatever. But yeah, I think it's a fine hire. I like the timing of it before the draft instead of trying to do something after the draft. So at least he gets to pick his team. The elephant in the room over there is, what is Markelle Fultz? Like, what is he?
Yeah.
And I don't think this guy or anybody else can fix him. The kid he can either play or he can't. So we're going to find that out soon enough.
Yeah, his strength genius is player development. That's why they hired him. With all the picks that they have and the roster that they currently have, they need somebody like that. And a bunch of NBA players were stepping up and just, paying him tribute to his player development skills. So, did a lot for them, helped them with his game. So hopefully they have someone that can develop those young players like a Markelle Fultz on the roster. And then, the draft picks that they're going to probably bring in.
All right, King, any thoughts on the hire?
Shocked, completely shocked. They had a much better candidate right in front of their face. She was a perfect candidate. She should have got the job. She's got more talent, more ability. She's just she checked, as Brother Ray would say, she checks every box. I think it's a sham. I'm really upset. I've been upset the last couple of nights. Drink a little heavier than I usually do, if I'm being honest. It's just not right, Kev. It's just not right.
Right. You know what gets me with this, right? And I guess Philly kind of did it with Brett Brown, but this team Orlando just blew it all up, right? And they traded Gordon and Vujacic, and now you give this guy the job with. It's got to be the youngest roster in the league. I mean, they got Bamba and Fultz. These guys are kids. You're going to add 2 lottery picks. It's almost unfair to the guy if you don't give him like 6 years. It's almost unfair because he's coaching like what should be college kids. You almost want to see him get a 6-year deal where he can coach these guys into their mid-20s to see what he can really do. Because this is almost like the kind of situation where he'll be there to develop, and then here comes in Doc Rivers type or some friggin' has been around the block friggin' Donnie Nelson type to bring him over the edge and get him in the playoffs. I feel like the writing's on the wall for that.
Yeah, they'll be in the lottery next year. So
I didn't see what is the length of the deal? Is it 3 or 4? I didn't see it. So if you don't know, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, I was like thinking the same thing. If you cut him, if you only give him 2 years, it's a complete waste because he's not going to do anything in 2 years.
Well, he's like Orlando's 12th coach in 26 years.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much a 2-year deal for everybody, ain't it?
Yeah. All right. So we touched, Coach, you touched on it a little bit. You mentioned Carlisle, and I do want to bring that up. Like I thought it was kind of like the stories that were coming out when he was leaving Dallas about that sports better guy, that Matt. He's got a really long last name and really long first name. His nickname is Bob. Mark Cuban brought in and gave like a ton of power to, and he was supposedly taking over some of the personnel departments, which is why Donnie Nelson left. He was supposedly even setting lineups and minutes and rotations, which kind of neuters Carlisle a little bit. Like I don't know how he bounces if that's all true. And they won the championship in 2011, so they've gone 10 years without winning a playoff series. You got this sports better guy messing with his head. I'm going to be really curious how he lands in Indiana, because I'm always kind of the opinion that you should probably decompress and think about maybe what went wrong and what went right and what you need to change for the next job. So I'm a little surprised he jumped back in that quickly. Do you have any thoughts on sort of Carlisle, how he went out and him taking this job so quickly? King,
I think
money?
well, first of all, that's a lot. Yeah, you're right. That's a lot of money. and he's still a young coach. He's 61. He's not an old man. Like, he's still got a lot of time. You would think he would take a year off. I'm surprised he jumped right back in. It's not a good thing when you start bringing in second guessers in any sport, whether it's the nerds in baseball or the friggin' press box guy or the GM or the Wonder Kid fucking draft analysis guy. Like, Rick Carlisle is an NBA lifer. I mean, this guy has not taken a year off since he was like probably 5 years old. He doesn't need some nerd or some gambler or some fantasy guru or some mathematician from Stanford to tell him how to run a basketball team. So I think for him to go back to Indiana, where it's presumably not going to be like that, will be fine. But, you know, just he had that talent in Dallas, and it must suck for him because it's definitely a step down job, not a step up job, to go from that young, you know, to go from Luka to Malcolm Brogdon. I mean, what's in boringness? What's in Indiana?
All right. Any thoughts on the Carlisle hire from either King or Brother Ray?
I'm shocked, Kev, that Carlisle got the job there in Indiana. It was a much better candidate. She's more experienced. She's more detailed in what she does. And honestly, Kev, I'm just shocked and a little disgusted.
Brother Ray?
I'm just in awe. I'm proud of him. I mean, he's bringing a tear to my eye. This is amazing. I did not expect this at all.
Yeah,
sure that's somebody else with a mask on?
I'm sensitive. I get sensitive.
All right, gentlemen. As usual, the wheels have fallen off, so this is the time we'll wrap it up. Any final thoughts, Brother Ray?
Looking forward to see if Milwaukee can even this thing up. Be interesting.
Right. Coach?
Yeah, game 4, big game for Phoenix. You don't want first team to win a road game is in a huge advantage in this series. Huge game for Phoenix Wednesday night.
King?
Kev, they should call me Mikey 1 hour. You know why? So I can get any show up to about 1 hour with my babbling. So here we are. We made the 1 hour mark. You already know who I picked. We're all good.
Yeah, I got to say, I was a little worried at the 36-minute mark. I'm like, how are we going to get to it? And this is, a few viewers, this is behind-the-scenes stuff. It's a lot's going on. We're, all of us, multiple browsers going. Mike and I are texting. We got a producer on the side, the whole thing. But, yeah, I was a little nervous at the 36-minute mark. King, I'm glad you came in. And it's also, we haven't really acknowledged it, but I do like to see this change in you. You seem a little bit more woke. I'm sure that'll help us with the, get a few more viewers. It'll definitely help with that demographic in Portland. We've been struggling in the Pacific Northwest. I got to say, got to be honest here. We could use a few more viewers up in that part of the country. So thank you, King.
You know what? I just want to thank the Italian soccer team because they gave me a chance to hate the English, and it just flipped things for a couple of seconds. I was like, let's give this girl a shot, get her job.
Yeah, exactly. All right, this is Kev, Kev the Genius and/or Genius Kev. Wrapping up Legit Fantasy Basketball Monday, July 12th. Thank you all for tuning in. And again, I agree with the King. Thank you, Italy, for giving us all a great Sunday afternoon and a great Monday.
Bravo, Italia.